Imagine millions of red crabs moving like a living crimson wave across forests and roads on Christmas Island. This annual migration is crucial for the species' reproduction and the delicate balance of the local ecosystem. During the season, roads are closed to ensure the crab's safety, and local campaigns raise awareness about the importance of preserving this unique species. The cultural significance of this migration is so profound that it has been the focus of international documentaries and studies, placing this small island on the global conservation map. The mass migration of red crabs begins after the first rains of the wet season, typically occurring between October and November. This phenomenon is remarkable for its precise synchronization with the lunar phases. The crabs typically spawn during high tides in the last quarter of the moon, although how they align their activities with these lunar cycles remains a mystery. But in 2024, something unexpected happened. For the first time in decades, a prolonged drought delayed this cycle, highlighting how climate changes directly impact the survival of species and their interaction with the environment. Today, Earth Echoes delves into what happened on Christmas Island and what this event reveals about the challenges faced by wildlife in a rapidly changing world. Christmas Island is a microcosm of biodiversity, home to unique species found nowhere else on Earth. Its delicately balanced ecosystems rely on subtle interactions between flora and fauna, such as the red crabs and the forests they help fertilize. This uniqueness draws scientists and conservationists who view the island as a living example of how environmental changes impact the planet on a global scale. One natural event transforms the landscape and captivates scientists, tourists, and nature enthusiasts alike: the migration of the red crabs. With an estimated population of over 100 million, red crabs act as true ecosystem engineers. By turning over soil and consuming organic matter, they recycle nutrients, promoting vegetation health and aiding ecosystem regeneration along their migratory paths. However, a severe drought in 2024 postponed the migration to February 2025, breaking a pattern that had remained stable for decades. This delay was more than a mere disruption. It highlighted the vulnerability of natural cycles in the face of climate change. It was one of the driest periods in Christmas Island's recent history. During the second half of 2023, the region received only half its average annual rainfall, making the crabs' usual migration impossible. Without sufficient rains to create the necessary conditions, many females delayed spawning. This shift in the reproductive calendar could significantly reduce the number of eggs released into the ocean, threatening the long-term survival of the population. In December, a brief rainfall triggered the first signs of migration, but the crabs quickly retreated upon sensing that conditions were still unfavorable. These premature movements not only deplete vital energy reserves, but also increase the risk of mortality. The connection between climate and wildlife becomes unmistakable, with implications not just for the red crabs, but for the entire island ecosystem. These events expose how natural cycles are becoming increasingly vulnerable to extreme conditions. But why are Christmas Island's red crabs so crucial to the local ecosystem? During their migration, they aerate the soil, recycle nutrients, and consume organic matter, fostering plant growth and directly influencing the island's food chains. Their absence, even temporary, disrupts this essential cycle. It impacts everything from smaller plants like ferns to large trees that provide shelter for birds and insects. This chain reaction of imbalance is a direct reflection of how extreme weather events affect the foundations of entire ecosystems. When the ecological network is disrupted, the consequences can linger for years, threatening biodiversity and the essential environmental services that sustain life on the island. In addition to climate change, red crabs face another significant threat: Invasive species, particularly the yellow crazy ant. Accidentally introduced to Christmas Island, these predatory ants attack the crabs by releasing acid that can cause mass deaths among the crustaceans. A decline in the crab population allows unchecked vegetation growth, altering habitats and impacting other native species. This imbalance further exacerbates the fragility of the local ecosystem. The delayed migration doesn't just impact the ecosystem. It threatens the very survival of the island as we know it. Amid these challenges, the local community plays a vital role in the conservation of the red crabs. Residents actively participate in monitoring and protection programs, helping to install road barriers and contributing to projects aimed at eradicating invasive ants. Additionally, educational initiatives in local schools raise awareness about the importance of the species, fostering engagement among younger generations in preserving this natural treasure. The red crab migration also holds significant economic value. Each year, tourists from around the world visit Christmas Island to witness this unique phenomenon. This influx drives local businesses, from hotels and restaurants to tour guides and souvenir shops. However, the postponement of the migration to February 2024 brought challenges. The tourism season, traditionally tied to the event between October and January, suffered a setback, reducing visitor numbers and directly impacting the local economy. For a region heavily reliant on ecotourism, these disruptions to the natural calendar carry significant financial consequences. Beyond tourism, conservation efforts for the species also require substantial resources. Maintaining road barriers to protect crabs during migration and combating invasive species such as predatory ants are costly yet essential initiatives to ensure the continuity of the event and preserve environmental balance. But could this disruption happen again, threatening the survival of the species? What does science say? During the migration, researchers conduct systematic observations, recording the number of crabs crossing roads and analyzing their movement patterns. Temporary barriers installed by Australia's Parks Department help guide crabs towards safe crossings, making it easier to count and collect data on their movements. With the help of cameras and GPS devices, scientists monitor the crabs' movements in real time. Technology has become a powerful ally in protecting red crabs, as drones and remote sensors enable the monitoring of hard-to-reach areas, quickly identifying changes in migratory behavior or new threats to their habitat. Climate modeling tools further aid researchers by predicting how future climate variations might impact migration, allowing for proactive planning. This integrated approach combines science and innovation to strengthen conservation efforts. In addition to documenting crab behavior, researchers also study how migration impacts other elements of the ecosystem. For instance, the presence of these crustaceans boosts nutrient recycling and supports local food chains. Long-term analyses reveal how these benefits manifest in forests, rivers, and even along coastal areas. Scientists warn that without concrete actions to mitigate the effects of climate change, events like the delayed migration of red crabs could become increasingly common. While the natural resilience of these crustaceans is remarkable, it has its limits. Science shows that preservation depends on both nature's ability to adapt and the choices we make. Climate monitoring, invasive species control, and habitat restoration are essential tools, but will they be enough? The future of Christmas Island is intricately tied to our ability to protect these fragile cycles that sustain not only the crabs, but the island's entire ecosystem. If you've read this far, comment "Red Resilience" and join the conversation. Your voice helps expand the dialogue on conservation and climate change. Subscribe to the channel to keep exploring the mysteries and challenges of our planet.